Time for the mailbag. Abby, before we get to the first question, it's beach volleyball season, and we actually got to see like a true beach volleyball game in Lincoln, Nebraska in February, meaning they played outdoor on the sand.
Yeah, it was beautiful yesterday, and they finally went outside. I don't even know like when the last time that they played a match outside has been. And actually this like season, before the season started, they like practiced outside a couple times because it was nice. So yeah, it's pretty wild. But Nebraska is 5-0 now. Working right now on Tuesday for their 6th win, and then they head off to LSU where beach volleyball is very big deal there, and then they go to Hawaii, California.
God.
So much nicer weather there.
Yeah, do people come? I mean, what's the crowd like? I mean, we know what Husker volleyball crowds are like normally. What's the beach crowd like?
So they're not actually open to the public because they play. So where the beach volleyball court is actually like connected to like the Olympic sports weight room. So there's like not even a curtain there. Like balls will like fly over and hit like track guys that are just pumping weights back there. So it's a very different vibe.
Yeah.
But they actually have like a really nice sand court. I think the sand's like 1.5 feet, which is what the U.S. volleyball team practices on, and it's pretty much the hardest court that they'll play on all year. So that really helps set them up.
Is there a coach there? Like, is John there?
Cook. John is not normally there. No, he's not the coach. It's Jalen Reyes and Kelly Hunter that are the coaches for that. And beach volleyball is kind of different because the coaches can't say anything while they're playing. Like they switch sides every 7 points. So then they will like say things then, but like they can't even yell that like a ball's out or anything.
Okay.
And the rules are very strict, and it's great for the girls to like develop all of their skills because you have to do everything, and it's really hard to move around in that sand.
Can you imagine if they would have been able to promote open to the public outdoor beach match? Like they'd probably get a couple thousand people out there yesterday.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah, and it was so nice out. People just want to go outside.
What time would they have? What time are these matches?
It depends. The one today started at 10.
10 a.m.
Yesterday they were at 9 and 2.
This is a world I'm just not familiar with.
Like Wayne State has a beach team.
Yeah, they played them yesterday, and I think their top team actually beat Nebraska.
Well,
Ben Bramer was Ben Bramer's sister on their top team.
Yeah, I think it's Maggie.
So
like
the
that.
tight end Ben Bramer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wayne
State upset Nebraska, and nobody knew it.
Whoa.
Stop the presses.
If a tree falls in the woods and
Nebraska still won 4 of the sets, but
all right, let's get to the mailbag. How about that?
That's what we're here for. Okay. We've actually talked about this a lot already, and I had this question, so you just set me up perfectly. But who is the best multi-sport athlete in Nebraska history or right now? At Nebraska?
Tom Kropp, without a doubt, is the all-time best.
John, just going old school on us.
Oh, it's not even a discussion, is it?
I don't think so.
I mean, Tom Kropp
played for the Washington Bullets.
And he could have played in the NFL. He was drafted by the Steelers, and I believe he could have been a pro baseball player.
Good God. Drafted by the Steelers and did play for the Bullets in the NBA.
Long career.
Yeah. He's an NBA player.
And he was a Larry Bird type story where he came to Nebraska and had a kind of a rough experience, and he transferred back to go to Kearney.
Okay. Tom Kropp.
Kind of like Larry Bird going to Indiana, going to Indiana State. Like that was in that era. That was one of the early, a misfire just of that era that they weren't able to make that work. Tom Kropp would be regarded as one of the all-time greats here if he was here.
There's a lot of
Strickland would be in that conversation.
Eric Strickland.
I mean, kind of just reeled off all his accomplishments.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's no doubt he and Kropp are the ones that come to mind for me. Strickland was, I mean, he's the best defender I've seen at Nebraska. He's an incredible defender, but he
could have played pro baseball.
Had some offensive game, could have played pro baseball. He practiced with the football team, never played in a game, but he was good enough that they were interested in him. So yes, I'd say Strickland, Kropp. Those are the guys. Tom Kropp. There's a lot of 30-somethings that heard that name for the first time just now.
Yeah, Dirk Chatelain wrote a great article about him and his career. And Tom Kropp, like even up at his older age, every day at lunch, he would play full court one-on-one basketball with another like coach or teacher, and they would play each other one-on-one full court.
Cool.
And they were like physical matches.
I'll bet they were.
I mean, they weren't just like layup drills. I mean, he's old school.
There you go, Abby.
Okay, next one. How long before we see some kind of NIL setup for high school football? And what schools do you think will be able to have the best collectives or organizations?
Yeah, it's dicey because NIL, you cannot, the rule in the NSAA is to maintain your eligibility. You cannot wear your school logos or promote your school. So you could theoretically have a collective and have athletes do promotional work, but they could not wear their logos or promote their school. And there have been, Maverick Noonan, Malachi Coleman, Daniel Kalin. I mean, these guys have received NIL and made NIL payments in high school. Like it's not unknown, but I think you'd be really grasping at straws to think that we're going to see like a full-fledged like NIL system
at the high school level.
Yeah, of the depths. I mean, I think going to Phoenix is an attractive sales pitch to a team. Like if you're a kid, like, hey, come to Millard South, we're going to play a top 5 team in Phoenix and fly out there. I mean, stuff like that to me probably is, somebody's got to pay for that.
Yeah, Abby, that's a tough one.
I don't know though if we're just going to ever see it where you're going to see like a high school have a collective.
Well, there's a full-blown Matt Davison collective for Lincoln Southeast.
Now, some people would say like West Side is like, because West Side has a lot of resources and backing, but they're not. No one's doing it to like that level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about that.
We're not there yet.
We get ourselves in trouble here with our.
You know what my sense is that people don't even like that discussion.
It's private. You're talking about people's personal finances.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's no one's business really.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Will this Nebraska men's basketball team be considered one of the best in school history?
No doubt.
Well, if they win a tournament game, yes. I mean, inherently, yes.
Yeah. Very preliminarily, Rob, I'm thinking about a Sunday column. If Nebraska beat Ohio State, I think you'd say this is the best Nebraska team in 30 years. 93-94.
Better than the Lou team, right?
Yes, better than Lou team because here's why. They had Lou and Vincent. The supporting cast wasn't great. If Lou would have had a bad game, they would have been in trouble. On this team, if Casey has a bad game, and you can have another guy have a bad game.
They've got like 6 or 7 guys that could all step up.
Right. Now you would say, no, wait a second. They don't have a first round pick on this team or a second round pick. They don't. Mm-hmm. But I just think as a unit, they're definitely better than the Lou Vincent teams.
Mm-hmm. They've got guys that are in conversations for potentially all Big Ten defensive team, for 6th man of the year, for potential all conference honors. And so that in itself shows the depth that you have multiple players in conference postseason accolade conversations. That shows the depth that they have. And then the fact that the teams that they're beating, so like 17-18 is like the most recent comparison just because of the number of wins they stockpiled. They didn't play anybody. They had one quad 1 win. They lost their other one.
Yeah.
That's a crazy deal.
Now, Rob, you're
and so that starting 5 was really good.
It was.
Really, I would put that starting 5 over this starting 5.
Who are you talking about?
Copeland,
Glenn Watson, Isaac Copeland, James Palmer, Isaiah Roby.
Yeah. Now, some people are going to say this team's not better than that one. Again,
but the depth. Go 6 through 9.
Right. Depth.
Not even,
and they defend
close.
They defend better, I'd say.
Oh yeah, this is one of the best defensive teams we've seen, certainly under Fred, and going back even past probably the Sadler eras.
So I do think you now. If I don't know, it shouldn't depend on whether they beat Ohio State or not. I thought about writing it yesterday. Then if they lose to Ohio State, you look like a moron. But if they beat Ohio State, I think that you start thinking about this team. Well, I already think of it that way. I just think it'd be more appropriate if
the Ohio State win changes the conversation from they're in a great spot to they're in, without any question, in my opinion. If they beat Ohio State, that's another quad 1 road victory. Check, you're in. Now you're playing for seeding.
Yeah, it would be hard. Here's the thing about they would have to play themselves out right now, as you said the other day.
And losing to Ohio State doesn't change much.
No, and here's the thing about Nebraska. They're playing so well right now. They're not going to play their way out.
And they're a low maintenance team. Like there's not a lot of like
a bunch of older guys.
There's not a lot like guys that demand attention on this team.
Bunch of veterans.
No, that's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it. They don't. They're a team, and they're older guys, and they share the ball.
And they accept their roles.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they thrive in those roles.
Yeah. Fred's got it. They're dangerous.
All right.
Dangerous.
Final question, Abby Barmore.
So it's state basketball tournament time. What is your favorite state basketball memory?
Wow. Well, I've got a few because it's hard to
just do one.
Oh, just do one.
Sean,
we can come back around at least
Um,
because you're going to steal my answer. I know you are.
I don't know about that unless you were.
Robin, you can go first if
what's
you
your
want.
favorite?
It's okay. Just go ahead.
Well, the recent one, the Winnebago run,
Okay.
David Winchett.
and just how many people
That's a good one.
were here. Like the Class C1 semifinals are on Friday morning at PBA, and PBA was full at like 9 in the morning and 11:30 for 2 C1 semifinal games. And a lot of it was because of Winnebago. I mean, just to see like the draw that they had with the community.
They're
I mean,
fun to watch.
and they were fun to watch. They played so well. They passed so well. Just the way it captivated that community and captivated the state tournament crowd. I mean, that was up there. That game against Grand Island Central Catholic, where Johanna Gaifon was playing.
I was at that game.
What year?
God,
2017, 18, something like
Johanna
that.
Gaifon was a Craig Bowl. It was earlier than that. Was a Craig Bowl football recruit. Big guy, NFL level guy. Had some things go wrong. Never made the pros, but he was squaring off against Winnebago. It went back and forth, and I mean it was packed. I mean to get in the arena, PBA for a high school game. I mean that's up there definitely for me as a recent memory. I mean, growing up, my first state tournament I ever went to go watch Omaha Gross, my alma mater. I was in 7th grade, and that was my first time ever going. And for me, that's a memory because I got to see Wahoo play Gross in the semis, and that was the peak of that Wahoo era. And Gross was good. They were in the Metro Conference back then. They beat a lot of Metro teams. They beat a lot of Class A teams that year as a Class B school. They got smoked by Wahoo. I mean, Wahoo was at a different level of basketball in the 90s.
2015 was the Winnebago state title run, just for clarity.
Did I steal yours?
You did not, thankfully. And I don't know if I would, its favorite, but also just more unforgettable was the 2020 state tournament. That was the last sporting event, live sporting event before COVID shut down the sports world.
Ooh.
So it was right on the heels of the Fred Hoiberg episode at the Big Ten tournament. And like they were debating, are we going to let fans in? And it ended up just being this weird thing. And because I had press access, I was apparently cleared to go. So I went to that, and some of the best games, like buzzer beaters, that was the Bellevue West Millard North game with Hunter Salas and Jason Green, Chucky Hepburn. Like those, it was one of the best Class A state title games that I can remember.
Fiddler.
And there was like nobody could come and see it, and they had garbage bags all over the seats. It was weird. It was just such a unforgettable experience, just because of the dynamics of what was happening to the world, but then also the level of basketball that was happening in the gym.
I credit the NSAA for keeping.
They let it happen. They were close,
and I mean they had everybody on them to cancel that thing. And
yes, they did.
Dr. Beller was like, "We're going to go through with this. They're just going to get through with it." I mean,
what a time. Seriously.
All right, Sip, I want to hear.
I don't have any great ones. Now here's the thing. I remember I started covering Nebraska football in 95. Okay. So I pretty much shut down. I didn't cover high schools, didn't go to the state tournament usually. 95 on. So mine all predate that. Now I do remember pretty well like going to see Hoppen when he was an Omaha Benson bunny at state. I was a kid.
Not Dan, Dave.
Dave Hoppen he played at Omaha Benson. And he played in the state tournament. It was super cool, 7-footer. Okay, remember Rich King at Burke going as a kid. I was a kid, probably not really a kid, but those are the things. And I also vaguely remember as a little kid. You guys won't know this, but it was like the Bob Devaney Center had just opened, and they had state basketball there. It was like the first time they had state basketball there. And I was just a little kid, so it was wild to me. It was amazing. This new arena paid for by cigarette tax largely, and being in there. And I remember sitting up in those plank seats. That's all I can really remember. I don't even remember who was playing, but yeah, I don't have any.
Columbus make state when you were there?
Yeah, I think I was there watching Columbus. No, when I played, we did not.
See, we played in the
Omaha Gross.
Gross, yeah. We played in the Pershing Center when I was a senior.
You did?
And we were the evening session in the Pershing Center. So that
you played in the Pershing Center at state?
We played Seward, and it was a tie game in the last minute. We ended up losing like by 4 or something, but
couldn't get it done.
Probably one of Seward's best teams they ever had. I mean, they had a really good team, and it was tight-knit year. The best teams our senior year didn't win it. I mean, Beatrice was probably the most talented team. Pius was the best, one of the better teams. They didn't win down there. It was, I think, Shattern beat Schuyler in the finals.
Okay,
my senior
you
year.
played Pershing. Interesting. Pershing, no longer there.
It's a library now, right?
I don't know that
Not yet, but
I don't think so. I don't.
rest
think so.
in peace, the real original Rib Fest, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, they did have it there.
They kind of got rid of
that.
it.
Was real. That was the real Rib Fest. You're right. See, Sean.
Abby, do you have a state tournament memory?
I don't have like a specific one.
That's okay.
But my cousins and my family is from Wynot, and they play Class D2. Their girls basketball team has won, I want to say 8 state championships since 2011, and there was a time when they had won like 7 and 8 years, and I would always go as a kid. Even when it was in Pershing, we went several times. And then my cousins actually played a couple years ago. They won back to back, I'm pretty sure. So I always love going watching them, and it's kind of a family thing. Like my grandparents will come this weekend, and my aunt and my cousins. So
do you have
it'll be
Wynot
awesome.
gear?
I do.
Ooh,
Hey guys,
I do.
You'd be interested in this. I did cover a state tournament game one time in the morning session at Lincoln East. I was working for the Lincoln Journal Star. The deadline was really tight because it was the Journal Star afternoon paper. I had the wrong team winning. It was stripped. I had the wrong team winning. It was stripped across the top of the paper with the wrong team winning.
they were.
And the next day I had to go back, and the crowd was like chanting journals. It was like living in a nightmare. Yeah. I thought I was gonna get fired for sure. They didn't fire me.
That's a state tournament memory, right there.
That's a memory. I had the
Led with that
wrong
one.
team winning. Stripped across the top of
You
the,
weren't even Babe in the woods there. You
No,
were-
I just messed it up on deadline. It was a real bad deadline because, again, people don't understand.
What do you mean? Who won?
It was an afternoon paper.
I remember those days.
Yeah, it was an afternoon paper. So the deadline was like 11:30 or noon. I was firing it out, and I called them and said, I got the wrong team winning. They said, it's too late. It's too late.
Oh,
It's all.
my
It's
God.
it was horrifying. It was horrifying.
If I would have known that, I don't know if we would have hired you.
Yeah.
Sean, come on.
We're gonna go watch Carter Nelson next week. I think
We are.
Right
Carter
next
Nelson.
door, 10:45
Yeah,
on Thursday.
stupid
We're gonna go
not
over
to,
there
yeah.
next week.